Hello everyone out there and welcome to the table. So I have a really awesome knife, and this one right here, this is a Kizer drop bear, but not just any drop bear. This is a collaboration, and it's making, in my opinion, one of the coolest drop bears that's out there today. And so this one is a collaboration between Kizer and, as you can see right here, Glow Rhino. So Glow Rhino sticker right here, and I believe Glow Rhino is kind of known for night sights and tritium, this and that. And so it kind of makes sense to partner with a knife company. And Kizer chose a really great model for this collaboration here because the drop bear just makes a great platform for some really unique looks. And so immediately what drew me to this knife, and probably the reason why you clicked on this video, is look at that blade shape. This is something, again, hasn't been seen before on the drop bear. But you can take a look at this really extreme Americanized Tonto right there. See the grinds on that beautiful satin blade. So it just looks really unique. It looks very different. But overall, this knife has just a really striking appearance. So whether you already have a drop bear or this is your first time ever looking at the Kizer drop bear model, this is a good knife. So if you're going to pick up any of them, this might be the one you want to get. And for a few reasons. So of course, that Tonto blade is what initially drew me to this knife. But of course, we can also see it has these really interesting looking. These are clear acrylic scales. So again, clear plastic. And so it really gives you an idea of the inner workings of the knife, especially if you're not super familiar with this crossbar lock and how it operates. So again, it's basically, like Benchmade's Axis lock, but you can see that spring mechanism working in there. And it lets you see that this actual lock is adjustable. So this spring attaches and there are different anchor points you can see right through there, where you can anchor that spring to give you either a tighter action or a looser action. So that's totally customizable. You just take off that scale, put the spring where you want it, pop the scale back on, and you have a custom action right here in this knife. And with the clear scales, you can see that, how it actually works before you take the knife apart. So that's pretty cool. And of course, you can see that fully skeletonized frame, which makes this knife super lightweight. So we're just getting this very brightly colored, shiny looking knife. And of course, the real draw here for many of you is going to be this feature right here on the back. So we do have a tritium insert right here. And of course, we can't see it in this really bright light, but that does glow. And it has that really telltale sign, especially if you're in very dark conditions, it's a little bit more noticeable. So they took this area where the lanyard hole would be, and they decided to put this insert, which is, again, pretty awesome. So that's what we're getting here. So where else did they make some changes to this knife? We can definitely see that Kizer stuck with the deep carry pocket clip that the drop bear has. And again, the dual logos on there. So we have the Kizer logo and the Glow Rhino logo. And I think, again, it's pretty classy. It's the satin finish, nice and shiny. And I think it fits the knife very well. So looking back at the blade, we do have the billboard right there. And so this is going to detract from some, but in my opinion, if you're going to collaborate, you got to announce it. You got to put it on there somewhere. And so the Kizer Glow Rhino logo right there, and the text, you can even tell they use the appropriate fonts that come straight from the logos of each brand. So that's a really cool little touch. It's just really well done, in my opinion. On the reverse side right here, we can see we have, again, the drop bear marker right there, and Azo is the designer of this knife design. And we have a little like a nuclear symbol, and I guess that represents the tritium. And right on top there, we have the blade steel mentioned. It's very small, but if you can make that out, this is a 14C 28N blade steel. So keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But also on that logo, I know it's kind of very tiny. I'm not even sure. This is where I need to learn something. So if you know what those little numbers mean under that little nuclear symbol there, give me a heads up. What does that mean? I assume it has something to do from Glow Rhino and with the tritium that's on the knife. But you tell me, what does that mean? But again, so the price of this knife at retail from Glow Rhino, that's where it's retailing at, it's $100. So it's $100, and what we're getting here is a drop bear with the 14C28N blade and with the tritium insert. So some are saying that that's not a great deal, not a good deal. I will say that from the Glow Rhino website, if you do your shopping around, you can easily find like a 15% off coupon. And if you have an account through GovX, which means if you're military, law enforcement, emergency responder, I think they actually have a 25% discount you could use to buy this knife, which actually brings the price down to a very reasonable level, in my opinion. So for 80-ish bucks, shipped to your door, you can have this knife in hand. And at that price point, I think 14C28N is a real great value, because if you go online and look for a 14C28N blade right now, made in China, you can find a lot of great examples, 50, 60 bucks. And I don't think we're paying too much of a markup on this knife right here, given that this is coming from Kizer, a well-known manufacturer, and it has the tritium insert, which again on its own might add some to the cost. So that's pretty good price in my opinion. Those are my thoughts. That's what I think about this knife. And again, 14C28N, great everyday carry steel. It's become very popular, I would say, within the last 6 months to a year. A lot of overseas suppliers are using it in their knives. So it's super common nowadays. It's like the modern day D2 steel. D2 used to be really overused. Manufacturers have kind of switched over to the 14C. And so having a Sandvik steel there, great, great deal. But again, like I was mentioning earlier, this is the drop bear, and this isn't my first drop bear. So the drop bear has kind of become the de facto standard for Kizer knives, in my opinion. It's kind of like their version of the Kershaw Blur, very well done, very popular knife, or the Spyderco, the PM2, Paramilitary 2. But for Kizer, it's the drop bear. So that's really what it comes down to. Is when it comes to popularity, there are a lot of variants of the drop bear out there. So that's just something to be aware of. And even if you want to buy one, there's a lot of flavors, and that's always great to have variety and choice. And so Kizer realizes that. So actually right here on the table, have a couple of other variants. I have this one right here. We have a titanium handled version with the regular spear point blade. And this one is, again, titanium with LC200N steel. So it has that very rust resistant steel. So let's go ahead and throw that in there and check that out too. And that's not all, actually. Again, I like this knife. So I also have one of their Halloween editions right here, which has, again, same blade shape, black stonewash finish, Halloween themed with the yellowish Ultim scale. And again, this one's semi-transparent too, and you can see their Halloween decoration on the inside. But again, very, very similar in overall size and overall weight to this one right here. So popular knife. And again, I really like that Tonto blade, because again, there's nothing wrong with this spear point. But again, I don't know, it doesn't quite draw the eye quite as much as something sharp and pointy like this variant here. So I think if they bring the Tonto blade over to other variants of the drop bear, they're going to sell. I guarantee that they're going to sell. And I'm even tempted to swap the blade out with one of these other ones here as well. But I do like keeping this intact as the full collaboration as intended. I think that's pretty cool. That has some value in and of itself. So really, really nicely done, Kizer drop bear. And again, their packaging here, we can see that both logos are present. And this is actually very minimal for Kizer. Normally they do a lot more, but we just have a small pull-out tray with their stickers and stuff in there. Normally Kizer boxes are huge, but they went a little bit minimalistic here, and we can see both logos represented. And there is our information right there about the knife and its status. So really cool overall design. But before we go, I do want to compare some of the weights here, because I know this knife is very lightweight. So the drop bear with the collaboration, this is about 3 ounces, 3.06 ounces. And of course, the titanium handled version is going to come in a bit heavier. Yeah, so about 4.2 ounces. So it's heavier. And the Halloween collaboration here, we got 3.3. So it's a little bit heavier. I think just because of the liners not being quite as milled out, that's going to be the difference there. Because other than that, the knives are pretty much identical. So you have the lightest weight variant of the drop bear here with that really awesome tritium insert, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on camera or not, because of course it has to be very dark in order to see it. But I think it was very well done. So great collaboration. I'd love for them to do more things like this, bring some really cool brands in and somehow integrate it into a knife successfully. So good job to Kizer. Great idea from Glow Rhino or whoever originated it. And but if you have any comments or questions, drop those below. I'd love to help you out with that. But I hope you enjoyed watching, and everyone out there, please have a nice day. See you later.